Hello, 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 and welcome back to another Conversations with JR. I hope that life is treating you well. As for me, life is being kind. I'm just waiting in anticipation for the sun and warm weather. Confession time. I am a fan of summer. It could be 100 degrees outside and all is well with me. So let's just hope that that is coming our way. Springtime is here in the air, and it just makes people feel better. It just makes days go by better. And we have been holding on to this cold, rainy weather for a very long time. So just want to warn you a little bit. If you hear a little barking in the background, that is my sidekick Peanut trying to get in on his little 15 minutes of fame. Today's topic is deeply personal. It's a personal topic, something that I have been thinking about uh for a while. And as you listen today, please don't take anything that I say personally, because this is not meant to demean, disrespect, degrade, or bring anyone down. Conversations with JR is dedicated to creating a safe space for open and honest dialogue. You know what I always say. We are going to heal each other through one conversation at a time. Today's failure. Yes, I said the word failure. Now, according to the Webster's dictionary, their definition of failure is the lack of success in achieving a goal, a breakdown in function. Failure signifies a shortcoming, deficiency, a person who has not met requirements. In other words, failure means personal shortcoming. Now, you might be asking yourself while you're reading this and you're thinking, Tina, why are you talking about failure? Because I think that this is a very important conversation to have because when I was growing up, all I heard in my household was the prediction of my failure as a child. And these predictions can be scarring and traumatizing, and they can also become self fulfilling prophecies. I was always told about how I was going to be a failure. And I remember how it hurt me. Like, how could the adults in my life look at me at my age and predict my future based on what they see or didn't see or based on my behavior at the time? I've been thinking about failure as it compares to my life today. Why? I consider myself a late bloomer, a late starter in life. My success came later on in life. I did not mature through life by the traditional standards. I didn't graduate high school, transition to college, obtain degrees, then start the path to building a career earning a six figure salary. I didn't marry the love of my life. I had to laugh at that because no, I did not meet and marry the love of my life. On the contrary, traumatized by all of these dysfunctional relationships. But I digress. I didn't purchase a house and, be married, have children, and, live happily ever after. So, according to the standards of public opinion, I'm a failure because I did not progress through life as whoever set these standards, the people who's in charge of this operation. I did not walk that path. And according to the ones who set the standards, because I don't know who these people are, when your life doesn't progress this way, you are a failure. What else can you be but a failure? Questions for my listeners. Are you basing your success, your life, according to the judgments of others, those people who are standing outside looking in. What did you learn about success from your family? When you were growing up, did people predict your life for you? Did they tell you that you was going to be a failure? Did they tell you that you was unlikely to succeed? That's what they do in high school. They tell the people who's going to succeed, who's not going to succeed, who's going to be a CEO, who's going to be this and that, based on what they see from you at that time. My family set me up for failure. We'll talk about that later because I did on YouTube, I did a video about how my family set me up for failure. Now, this is not about blaming anyone, but yes, my family did set me up for failure. When you're living in a household and all you hear is negativity about yourself and all you see is negativity, you tend to start believing that because you don't know any better. You don't know any better. Here's some facts or ideas about the pursuit of success in this country here, United States of these Americas. The second paragraph of the Declaration of Independence identifies inherent rights, basic human rights. Now, for my African American listeners, my Latino listeners, my Asian listeners, multicultural listeners, I know exactly, especially my African American listeners, I know what you're going to say. The Declaration of Independence wasn't written for us. It was written by white men with the white man ideology in mind. No, I am talking about the meaning, now who it was written for, identifies inherent rights, basic human rights. You have the basic human rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Meaning, you are allowed, any individual, to define and pursue your own happiness, not based on someone else's theory about whether you are going to succeed or be a failure. With that said, so maybe we need to think about who determines the rules for success or for failure. Like, who is setting the standard? Who is setting us up to be failures? Who is, as that book, I read this book, Who Moved Cheese? You should get that book and read that book. Who moved the cheese? Who set these rules? Who's setting the standards? Who is taking away the resources so that you will not be successful and that you can be labeled a failure? Who's doing this? No one wakes up in the morning in their right mind and say, you know what I'm going to do today? Today I'm going to be a failure. I am going to do everything that I can do today to become a failure. I don't think that people wake up in the morning and they do that. So, with my limited understanding of success, it seems to me, and the reason why I say limited, because it seems to me that people who are successful are the people who arrive at a pinnacle of financial wealth, and you are a part of a certain social class. This is about class status, and this is about cash money and materialism. Who could be a millionaire, billionaire, and things like that. That's how we are looking at success from from the standpoint of what I see. The reason why I say my limited view about success is because it seems like social media has become the key focal point. People are viewing people on social media and they think they're seeing all this success and how people are making all this money and they have all these followers. And, that's in this generation here, that's what people are looking at as success. That's success. And I want that because if I don't get that, then I'm a failure. Let me take you back a little bit before the days of the social media influencers and all of these millionaires and billionaire influencers. You see, when I was growing up, and I'm a baby, success meant something very simple. It meant that fathers were able and willing to work, provide for their families. And in those days, happiness and success was the core value of the family unit. We had strong ties to the community, and the basic education was a must. Getting that high school education was a must. Now, I know fast forward things have changed. I understand that. I have not been living underneath a rock, and I understand what's going on because I have moved with the times and I've changed with the times. But my son once said something to me. He says, "Ma, don't you change because the game has changed." And I think that's what a lot of people are doing. They are changing who they are, their identity, if they know who they are, and changing themselves to fit a certain stereotype or put themselves in a certain category because they don't want to be labeled as a failure. So over time, success means materialism and monetary value. This is what I see. Materialism and cash money. We even got songs out here now singing the praises of cash money and materialism, because you want to arrive at a certain point of success and no one wants to be labeled a failure. I judge myself harshly as a failure based on how society measures where I should be at this stage in my life. I am 62 years old. People always say, "Why are you telling your age?" Well, I'm happy. I'm glad that I made it to 62. This was not easy. And at this stage in my life, society has requirements that I should have met. There's a certain level of requirements, but as far as materialism and money that I have should met. But I didn't make it. My life went in reverse. I'm not a failure. And I had to learn that about myself. I had to look at myself and stop comparing myself and stop listening to these other standards of society. There was a lot of trials and mistakes and some tragic events, but I found my way and discovered how to create my own version of success and what I deem myself as being successful. I wasn't afraid to, as Steve Harvey would say, jump to see what would happen if I did. I started college late. I was 24 years old. I jumped. I didn't know what I was doing. Thank God at the time I had a girlfriend of mine who walked me through the application and everything. I jumped. I didn't know what the future was going to hold. I went to a community college late in life, 24. Life went in reverse. But at that time, I did not consider myself a failure before I entered into college because I was a high school dropout. I had to get my GED first. Did I consider myself a failure? No. There was requirements that I had to complete in order to enter to the desired career that I wanted. I've always wanted to be in education. I've always felt that education was important. I had nothing to prove to anyone, but I had to fulfill these requirements. So the first thing I did was I got my associate. And I took my time and I got my associate and I was successful. And then I got my bachelor's. I was successful. It took me a year or 2 years later, but then I got my master's because I wanted to stay in education. At that time, it was not about a six-figure salary. At that time, it was not proving myself to someone or others who was watching me. It was what I wanted, my desires from deep down within. And so that's how my life went. Hence the second paragraph from the Declaration of Independence. I defined my path to happiness and freedom. That's what I did. It wasn't easy. And like I said, it wasn't about proving anything to anyone. But did I feel like a failure because I had to drop out of high school? I was a teenage mother. I was working all of these dead end jobs. No, no, no. I would have felt like a failure if I didn't get out there and try to do what it is that I needed to do to raise myself up to a different standard of living. That's what it was about for me. You know what I observe out here? I watch, I look. I see people of all classes struggling to maintain a lifestyle of materialism that they want to manifest this lifestyle that they cannot maintain. I hear people talk. Listen, they're leasing cars and they have mortgages that's way above their head and they have student loans and they have maxed out credit cards and their spending is more than what they earn. And they're working full-time jobs and they're working part-time jobs and they're working doubles and they're working overtime and they're stressed out and they're mentally unbalanced. Emotionally, they're going, unbalanced. And physically, a lot of people are physically unhealthy. They're overweight. They don't go to the gym. They don't do self-care. They don't watch what they eat because they're running on this rat meal. I'm not judging anyone for their pursuit of happiness, but is it really their pursuit of happiness? Think about this while you're grinding, when you're out there trying to make ends meet, as we would say. Are your actions connected to the appearance of wanting to appear successful or to impress the people who are watching you? Are you mentally, emotionally, and physically exhausting yourself not to be labeled a failure? Think about your actions. All I ever wanted was to be a teacher, and I know teachers don't make great money if we didn't. I just wanted that desire to become a teacher because, like I said, I believe in education and I loved it. I stayed in it for 25 years and I'm still in it. I do have another job because of the shutdown, but I enjoyed it. I struggled a lot when I was teaching because I didn't get paid well. But I made do with what I had. I budget. I didn't spend above my means. I've learned how to get through what I wanted, without maxing out credit cards. People say, you never owned a home. No, and I'm glad I didn't. I want that burden. I hear a lot of people say that's an American nightmare. Yes, it would have been nice to have an investment that you can sell for retirement, but it didn't happen for me. And that's okay. People try to make you feel a certain way when you're not driving a car, when you're not have a mortgage to your house. When your credit cards are not maxed out. I don't have maxed out credit cards. I don't owe any balances on my credit cards. I had to learn that the hard way to clean up my credit. My spending is not more than what I'm bringing in. I've learned how to live a good, comfortable life. And even though my salary has increased with the new position that I have within the last 5 years, but I've learned that just because I am bringing in more doesn't mean that I should spend more. I do travel a lot. I try to take 3 trips a year because that's what I enjoy doing. And I am saving for my retirement. Do I feel like a failure? I used to. But it wasn't because I deemed myself a failure. It was because I was too busy looking at the standards set forth by this society that says at a certain age, at a certain stage in your life, you should have X, Y, D, Z. Well, for the ones who are running this game and making up the rules and setting up the standards, life didn't go that way for me, and it's not going that way for a lot of people out here. But it doesn't mean that people are failures. It doesn't mean that. People are mentally and emotionally and physically and financially exhausted trying to keep up appearances, trying to live like the Joneses and the Kardashians. And come on, when I look at it, to me, it's nonsense. You're not a failure. You're not a failure if you're in a marriage where your wife makes more money than you do. That's not failure. You're working. She's working. You just happen to meet somebody that has a higher income bracket. Sit down and put that money together and enjoy life. You're not a failure. When your children ask you for those $400 sneakers, parents, do you say yes not to appear as a failure in the eyes of your children? Not to say that kids don't deserve to wear good stuff, good sneakers, and things like that, but $400, but yet they are failing in school. $400 sneakers. The little girls are running around here all weaved out, and that money costs, that hair costs money, because I know. I hear the ladies talk. I hear the young ladies talk. The nails. Are you doing all this for your children so that you won't look like a failure in their eyes? Sisters, when you purchase yet another $350 bag, and I'm taking that lightly because I know some of them bags out there cost more, are you doing it to impress those around you? Is it necessary that you have another $350 bag and you already got 8 of them in the house? I'm not saying that you shouldn't have a nice bag. Yes, you should. But I noticed that everything is based upon, especially in the African American culture, everything is based on what I deserve to have. I deserve to have this because I'm working. I deserve. Think about the next time you go out and purchase something. What are you doing it for? What is the idea behind the purchase? Is it to keep up appearances? Who are you trying to impress? Let's let the truth be told. Most of us, like me, I'm a baby boomer, like I said, and grew up with parents who gave us the best that they could. But sometimes in our eyes, it wasn't good enough. It wasn't. Parents struggled back then, especially if you had a house full of children. When you looked over and that you saw that your friends were wearing more expensive clothes and sneakers and they was getting more money than you for their birthdays and things was happening for them in the house and it wasn't happening for you over at your house. Did you look at your family as they were failures? Is what you're doing right now driving you to exhaustion, to wanting to do better than what your parents did for you? And that's okay. It is okay that you will want to give your children, give your grandchildren, and have a better life than what our parents had because we have better opportunities. But they weren't failures. They did the best that they could at that time on what they had, and they were proud of it. But now that we have higher paying jobs, better education, you're working 2 jobs, but you're not spending good family time. You're working 2 jobs and you're not spending time with your spouse. You're always exhausted. You're always irritated. Why? Is it because you don't want to seem like a failure? So you go out there and you gain all this materialism that you have to pay for? When the bills come every month, I hear a lot of people talk about that. Oh my God, the bills, the bills, the bills, the bills. That's what you're creating. It's exactly what you're creating. Are you living the American dream? Is that what you're chasing? The American dream? Because you hear a lot of people who come from afar and they come up here and they make it and they talk about American people, how American people, y'all don't own homes, y'all don't do this, y'all don't do that. That's based on their experience. That's based on their biases. That's based on their judgment. Why would you let that get into your head? I live a good life. I live a good, comfortable life. I have rented apartments. I'm in a rented apartment right now that I'm very comfortable in. I don't want the headache of a mortgage, water bill, light bill, taxes. When I get ready to retire, all my money is going to be mine. And me and my dog Peanut, we're going to ride off into the sunset down south and get us a little trailer or a tiny house. That's what I've been preparing for. And it's going to be all mine. And the bank ain't got nothing to do with it and ain't got nothing to say with it. And I don't consider myself to be a failure. I consider myself to be a success. My life started late, but I am glad that I bloomed when I did. I'm glad that I discovered my creativity when I did, and that I did not listen to the judgment of others. What is ruling the conversation in your head about failure? Don't allow your life to be controlled by the opinions of the outsiders who do not live your life. They don't know your story. Don't let them change your narrative. Stop comparing yourself to others because of what they got. You don't know how they got what they got and what they're doing to get what they got. Or could it be that the conversation that you're having with yourself about being a failure needs to be reevaluated, just like I did for myself? I judged myself harshly as being a failure. No, I am not. I am grateful for where I am at in life and the things that I can afford to do. For a very long time, no spouse, no partner, just me. And now I got my little sidekick Peanut. And it is not easy when you are out here, according to my son, hitting this concrete and being a thug on your own. But I am grateful for my life. No one is going to stand up in my face and tell me because I do not measure up to the standards of what society has set forth that I am a failure. Bottom line, people, who put the idea in your subconscious that you are a failure? This is Conversations with JR. I hope that this conversation will inspire you to think about your life. Think about how far you've come. Think about everything that you have overcome to triumph to get to where you are. And if you are out there grinding, it's okay. If you have goals and you need to go out there and you need to grind, that's okay. Don't forget mental health is important. Your physical health is important. Your emotional health is important. Family connection is important. Have a social life. Eat well, sleep well, exercise, and take care of yourself. Until the next time, this is Conversations with JR. We are going to heal our community through one conversation at a time. Sharing is caring. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Conversation with JR. Like and subscribe. Until the next time, thank you for listening.